Hey you guys, it's Donna from fedupwithfatigue.com, and today I'm going to be sharing my personal medical marijuana protocol. And this is a video that I had a reader request. She was wondering how I use medical marijuana in the treatment of fibromyalgia and chronic Lyme disease. I probably use it in a little bit different way than a lot of people with fibro and chronic Lyme disease. I do use it for pain, but I primarily use it for sleep. And part of that is just because I have not been very successful at finding good products that I could use during the daytime hours when I'm trying to work and still function. And I'm sure there are going to be some people that are going to comment and are going to say, you know, you should try some of the CBD products during the day, and I have, but I have not found them to be very helpful for pain relief. I've tried, different CBD oils from my dispensary. I've also tried different hemp CBD oils. That's actually how I got my introduction into cannabis for pain. And initially, I did have some pretty good results with hemp CBD oil for a few months, and at some point it just stopped working for me. And I did make the transition to trying CBD oil that came from my local dispensary. Didn't have results with that either. So for whatever reason, it just doesn't work for me. I've tried some of the CBD rich plant material, vaping that, just unsuccessful on that as well. So I sort of just gave up on trying to use cannabis during the daytime hours. When I do have high pain and I get kind of desperate, I do have a couple of products that I sometimes will use during the day, and I'm going to share those with you. So I get these THC capsules from my dispensary. These are 10 milligram THC capsules. You can see the price there, $32 for 20 capsules. I live in Delaware, which is a medical marijuana state. Fibromyalgia is one of the approved conditions here in Delaware, so I'm lucky that I qualify. These capsules, 10 milligrams of THC, that's not a very high amount. It's enough that I can still function and do chores around the house and, still converse and walk around and function and that sort of thing. I would not drive on this. I'm usually not really able to work when I take this, but I can, get up and do laundry and wash dishes and watch a movie and that kind of thing. So this is one thing I'll use during the day. I also will sometimes vape my favorite strain, which happens to be MK Ultra. And yes, I'm familiar with what MK Ultra is, that is a secret mind control experiment from the CIA. So yeah, this is my favorite strain that I will sometimes vape during the day. You can see the THC content on that and the CBD content. My dispensary is nice enough to put that on the containers. This is the dry herb vaporizer that I use. This is an Atmos Jump. So let me spell that for you. Atmos, ATMOS, and then jump, like JUMP. So you can put dry herb in this and vape it. I was lucky enough to be able to purchase this through Groupon and get a pretty good deal on it. It's not a super expensive dry herb vaporizer. Some of the dry herb vaporizers are very expensive, cost, several $100s. I think that one, once I got it on Groupon, was only around $40 or so. And so it's not a super expensive one, and because of that, it's actually not, it's not a super high quality one either. And so I don't use it a ton because I don't feel like I can get a super deep draw on it. And so those are the two things that I will use during the day if I'm just completely miserable and I've, need some form of relief. Generally, before I turn to those two things, I will typically try some other strategies first. Like I will try my Quell pain relief device. I will try some tramadol or some gabapentin. I will try some of my pain relieving rubs or some of those things first. And then if nothing else works, I will kind of turn to the THC capsules or the vaping of the MK Ultra. Now, at bedtime, typically every single day, this is my bedtime ritual. And it's like a 1-2 punch. Now, my first year that I received my medical marijuana license, what I was doing is I was just vaping the dry herb, and that would help me fall asleep. And I didn't really see any real improvement in my sleep doing that. And so when it came time for my renewal, I have a specific doctor that I have to go to here in Delaware to sign off on my medical marijuana license paperwork to send to the state to get my renewal each year. And all he does is specifically see patients for medical marijuana certifications. And so I was telling him, I'm like, well, it really does a good job of helping me to fall asleep, but I don't really feel like it's keeping me asleep. I'm not really sleeping any better. I'm not really seeing any great improvements in my pain or anything. And he said he's like an older doctor. He's probably pushing 80 at this point, so it's kind of funny to hear him, talk so freely about cannabis. But he basically said, look, you need an edible. He said, because an edible lasts, so much longer, and that's going to keep you asleep. And so I'm like, okay. So the next time when I went left there and I went down to the dispensary, I told them what he said, and unfortunately my local dispensary, they don't really sell anything like cookies or brownies or gummy bears or any of that kind of stuff that you would find in like California or Colorado or anything like that. They just aren't to that level yet. So the closest thing that they have is something that they call cooking hash. So that's kind of what I gravitated towards. So what I do now is it's a 1-2 system. So I vape, my dispensary sells these little cartridges. And basically this is a THC cartridge. This is pure THC, and it's like in a resin form. And this particular cartridge, this is like 83%. So to give you a comparison, like the MK Ultra, the THC content is like a 18 to 22%. This is what I remember the package on this was like 83%. And it goes in this like battery vaporizer. And you can see it's the Jupiter brand. And there's a magnet at the bottom here, and it just slides right in, and then you stick it in your mouth and suck in and draw. And so I take probably maybe 6 hits on this, and basically this takes effect instantly. So we're looking at, within like 3 to 5 minutes, this is in total effect, and this helps me fall asleep. And then this second part of the system is the cooking hash. And so this is, you can see that it's basically like a greenish brown powder. Oh, greenish brown powder. And what I do is I take a little MCT oil, and I will take a little bit of the powder and basically dissolve that into, I'll take a teaspoon, put a little bit of the MCT oil into the spoon, take a little bit of the powder, put it into the oil and the spoon, dissolve it down, put it in my mouth and swallow it. So the vape pen, this lasts for about 30 minutes to an hour. So as this is wearing off, the cooking hash takes about an hour to take effect. So as the vape pen is wearing off, the cooking hash is kicking in. So the cooking hash lasts usually about 3 to 4 hours. So as this is wearing off, this kicks in, and then this keeps me asleep, if that makes sense. So this helps me fall asleep, this keeps me asleep, and this keeps me, helps me stay in some deep sleep. And then I also want to share a couple of topical things that I use at bedtime. So one of the things, another thing that I get from the dispensary, and just to be clear, I get both of these from my local dispensary. So these are not things that you could buy online. This is also a dispensary product. So this is a cannabis salve. You can see it's like a yellow salve. And what I use this for is for like joint pain, essentially. I have joint pain in my knees and hips particularly. I'm assuming it's from the Lyme disease, and so I usually apply some of this on my knees and hips, and also my lower back, because I have a bulged disc in my lower back, and almost every night I apply some of this on those regions to kind of help with that and take some of the inflammation and soreness out of those areas. And this came from the dispensary, which I think I already said. And then these two products, these are two products that you can buy online. These are available to everybody. These are from Resonant Botanicals. They're body lotions, pain relieving lotions. One is called Painless, one is called NeuroSoothe. And I use these as my body lotions. And I apply these all over my body. I just kind of rotate them, just, whatever I happen to reach for in any given night. The NeuroSoothe, which is the green one here. This one tends to be a little bit better for, like, I have neuropathy in my feet, which is that kind of painful, burning, stinging. So if I'm having some of that, this can be pretty good for that and for nerve pain and that kind of thing. And then this is just Painless, is just a good overall pain relieving lotion. Now both of these have hemp CBD oil in them. So that's why I'm adding them to this video, just because they both have cannabis oil in them, which is helpful for pain. I believe, I would need to check and make sure, but I believe they both have, magnesium. Yeah, they both have magnesium chloride. They both have white willow bark. It looks like Painless has arnica in it. And they both have lots of really, really good herbs and essential oils and such. So these are like really good stuff. Like, I would immerse myself in these if I could. So that's kind of everything that I use that's kind of cannabis and hemp related. And yeah, definitely. Like I love all of this stuff. I've found all of this stuff to be like super beneficial. I feel like it's taking me several years. I think I got my medical marijuana license for the first time, let me see, probably 2016 or 17 is when I first got it, and it's definitely taken 2 or 3 years to finally get my protocol down, you know, where I feel like it's a good solid protocol. I do wish that my dispensary had you know, more of the edibles. Like it would be interesting to try some different options, but they just haven't quite gotten to that point yet, because the medical marijuana program in Delaware is still fairly new. So I wish they would evolve a little bit. And we are still looking here in Delaware, where it looks like I would expect within the next 5 years we may get marijuana may be approved recreationally. And at that point, I'm not sure what will happen with the medical program. You know, will it even be necessary at that point? Because at that point you would just be able to go down to your corner store and buy it. So what would be the point of having to have a medical license for it? So anyway, I hope you found this useful. I would be interested to know what your protocol looks like. If you would like to share in the comments what you found most useful as far as what cannabis products, what are your favorite strains? As far as daytime use, how are you navigating that? Have you been able to find any way of using cannabis during the daytime and still be able to work and function cognitively? Because that's been like a big challenge for me, because I need to be able to think and work during the day. So share in the comments how you've been able to deal with that challenge. And if you're interested in other articles and resources related to cannabis and fibromyalgia and chronic Lyme, I will put some links in the description box below, because I've done several articles on fedupwithfatigue.com on that topic. And take care, guys. Bye.